My name is Connor, and this is my review of the book The Voice Catchers by Joseph Turow. So I just wanted to preface this by saying that I had little to no knowledge about the extent to which that this voice catching goes on in our everyday life, apart from just a general public knowledge of how our phones are listening to us or that type of thing. But my family uses Amazon Echoes in our home, and we have for years, and we have no idea, and I doubt my parents still have an idea of what is going on behind the scenes of this. So it's pretty crazy to think about for me personally, and led me to a pretty impactful breakthroughs through this. And so today I'm just going to walk you through a couple of surprising aspects that I found from the book and how it's going to apply to one of my favorite brands. So let's just get right into it from there then. So first, the most surprising thing that I found is just, again, like this extent of how this voice data collection is going on from these companies, like Amazon and Google. And so it's even beyond what we just say, but it's like how we say it, right? It's our tone, it's our pitch, it's even breathing patterns of how we can do something, and that's used against us to kind of identify our personal attributes. And so I know the book stated that many scientists believe that a person's weight, height, age, and race, not to mention any illnesses they may have, can also be identified from the sound of that individual's voice. Which, just think about that for a second. If they can understand what you have as an illness or as a medical condition, just simply from listening on a conversation you think you're having about it with your loved one or your friend or an individual, doesn't matter who, and they can just use that against you to sell you, medications or products, something, things that you don't really think you need is pretty scary to think about, because they can identify a whole lot of information from you without even understanding who you even are, just from one conversation. I think it was saying something like 7 to 10 words is all they really need to identify who you are as a person. So again, just very scary to think about, and just to using that in our everyday lives is a scary thought. But so, like I said, the book talks about a lot of the kind of smart speakers that they use from Amazon and Google, and how they already have kind of voice prints, not just for identification, but to build this emotional profile is, again, pretty interesting to think about, because it all is boiled down to like we're being stuck in like a box, just based on our emotions and our behaviors, and not even who we truly are. But even with Amazon too, the book talks about plans to integrate Amazon's voice assistant into our walls and ceilings in the future. They were saying that they don't know if they're allowed to say exactly how they'll hide these devices in our ceilings and walls, but it's going to be built into the home kind of like bugs, which is very frightening to think about and scary that that's our future, but it's not going to go away anytime soon, so I guess it's better to just have knowledge of it. So that goes into my next point, which is this lack of transparency that's used in this voice data usage. It was pretty eye-opening to me that there's just really no regulation or laws like tied to this sort of thing. So I know customer service centers, are already approaching every caller based on what they conclude a caller's voice reveals about that person's emotions, sentiments, personality, often in real time, like the book says. But I was pretty shocked to find out that the only due diligence that they do is say your call may be recorded for quality assurance purposes, which is extremely annoying, by the way, but that's a whole nother thing. So it's their way of saying that they're valid in what they're doing, but they're saying it in the worst way possible, and kind of a way that just kind of just gets rid of the whole question about your voice conversations. And so this hidden use of the voice analysis is leaving us as users kind of unaware of how much personal information they're actually sharing or how it's actually being used, and then it's kind of raising these major privacy concerns. So I found that very shocking. And that kind of goes into my next point as well, which is I was very surprised at the emerging power dynamics from this voice surveillance industry. So it's kind of using power imbalances for these companies, but also for governments and politicians. So since there are no laws for any of this, the whole thing of as long as the pantry gets filled, then people aren't going to care about how their data is being used is just crazy to me. It's giving these companies power, and they don't think that it's detrimental at all to the consumer, but they're kind of in complete denial about this, and it's causing a lot of concerns and questions. So, but again, going back to the politician government point, the voice catchers warns that they may be using your voice profiling to infer personal characteristics for selfish interests and not for the benefit of citizens or society, but just to keep themselves in power as a whole for the foreseeable future. So it's getting more and more woven into our society, whether we like it or not, and it's only going to be doing this continuing for the future. So the more data that companies are collecting, the greater their ability to kind of shape our behaviors without us even realizing that it's happening or going on until it's like too late, and then it's in every aspect of our world. So pretty frightening to think about. But now I kind of want to switch gears here and talk about kind of this impact on what an actual brand would be. And so I want to talk about my favorite brand, which is Nike. And they're an interesting case here, I think, because they're obviously known for their innovation in the sportswear industry, and now they've been branching out to kind of like leisure wear and things like that. But it's gotten huge with their partnerships, and especially in recent years with technology, like with Apple and like their Apple Watch and use of the Nike app and their workout apps and stuff like that. So it could be kind of used for that purposes in the app space, but also in retail and selling. So then, they could use AI-powered apps even in their like metaverse thing to kind of adjust their workout sessions and their personal experiences on their voice cues. Just like if someone's super fatigued, they can go and give them a different suggestion for their workout. So the only problem with this is the negative impact. And so, like, the book emphasizes that there are some risks with how they collect data. We have to be careful about how the technology is used before it is embedded in our lives forever in every aspect, and that in ways that we can't reverse. So this is important for Nike because they've already had plenty of human rights violations, unfortunately, and so there were problems with labor laws and supply chain human rights violations. But even just the way that they're selling things, the whole StockX and Nike sneakers app debacles of how they're selling and the use of bots has been really detrimental to like their brand as like a whole on transparency level. So they need to kind of make sure that when they're using the voice, that they don't mismanage it, and they have to ensure that transparency is being upheld. So in terms of kind of partnering with customers, Nike can do this to kind of create contextual experiences so that they have a better experience overall, both in store and online. They can kind of use this ethically to prioritize transparency and then give more control to like the users for their information that's being collected. So this kind of aligns with the suggestion from the book that you have to be careful and considerate about how we use a powerful technology before it might be used for consequential decisions. So a use case for this could involve Nike's fitness app, where you're going to work out at the gym or going on a run, something like that. And it could recognize that a user's voice is being maybe a little more fatigued, like I talked about, or they have like a change in mood based on their heart rate or anything like that. And when they're listening to their voice, they can kind of recommend products and workouts accordingly. So if someone's super fatigued, then they can just bring them back suggestions that are more a little laid back and like more on like the yoga or stretching side, and give them help about stuff that will give them more emotional and physical security. So they could kind of apply a similar strategy to offer that for personalized experiences and ensure that the users have more control over their data sharing. So in conclusion, just wanted to kind of say that this whole book was a really eye-opening experience for me and really kind of thought-provoking on the future of how our data is being used and how we're actually going to be talking to each other and to technology and AI, and how we can enable personalized experiences. So it was pretty interesting to think about. So thank you. Have a great rest of your day.